with the CEO and also the co-founder of the Ruh App. I'll let them introduce themselves and also explain a little bit about the Ruh App, which is very exciting, I do have to say. Omar, do you want to introduce yourself and also introduce the Ruh App as well?
For sure. Assalamu alaikum. It's such a pleasure to be here. Jazakallah khair for having us. So my name is Omar Khan. I'm one of the co-founders and CEO of Ruh. Ruh, in a nutshell, is an Islamic mindfulness app to help you reduce anxiety, stress, and so on, and also help you live a more meaningful life. We also have a directory of Muslim therapists. If you want to find a Muslim therapist, they're literally one search away. So alhamdulillah, we have ruhcare.com, which will help you, inshallah, accomplish that. So that's in a nutshell, Ruh. Our goal really is to help, inshallah, improve the mental and spiritual well-being of the world. And the means we're using for that is technology. We saw a lot of times Muslim mental health solutions aren't really technology-driven. So we want to kind of bring that, inshallah, to the picture and help make it accessible for everyone worldwide. I don't think we can hear you.
Yes.
Sorry, is that any better?
Yes.
Yeah, so I was just saying, Humeyra, so you're the co-founder of the app.
Yes.
Would you like to introduce yourself?
Of course. As you said, I'm one of the co-founders and content team lead at Ruh. As Omar described, it's an Islamic mindfulness and contemplation app. So we merge Islam and psychology to produce content. And so I attend to the psychology side of things for the app.
Amazing. So the thing is, I'm going to start right off the bat. You both look very, very young. I don't know if that's just you look really young, or I mean, I would say you're pretty young. And to have launched an app which I feel like was very, very needed. So it's to help with mental health and improve mental health, and especially with young people living in the West. The reason why I think it's so exciting might not sound exciting right now to our listeners, but I'm sure by the end of the show, they will agree with me. When we don't have the luxury of going to counselors like I would say mainstream counselors, really, just because sometimes it can interfere with our spiritual beliefs. So you've tied the both in together. I wanted to ask, how did Ruh App, how was it born? Who got the idea? How was it created?
Sure. I think you kind of touched on it as well, and definitely resonate with what your sentiment was there about how a lot of the times, like the current solutions that are out there, like for mental health especially, don't really resonate with sometimes the Muslim community. That was my experience personally as well. Like many people in the pandemic, I was going through my own mental health challenges, and I tried to find solutions to cope up with. So I went to the App Store. The top apps I found were, Headspace, Calm, mainly Buddhist apps, mainly secular apps. So I was like, let's try it out. So I did download those apps. I did try them out. It did benefit me slightly, but I felt like there was something missing. It didn't fully resonate. And that was a spiritual element I was missing. And so when we started talking about this with our circles, just in the community, we found that a lot of people resonate with the same sentiment. And in fact, when we started doing this, we found out that there's a whole group of people that excluded themselves from the benefits of mindfulness because they associate being mindful with their faith, and they didn't find something that connects the two. And so that's, there's a whole group of people that doesn't resonate with solutions, and there's someone that's fully excluding themselves from the current solutions. So that's why when we spoke with Muslim mental health professionals, and we kind of started a small side project together to kind of help tackle that solution for our own problems. But inshallah, alhamdulillah, with Allah's mercy and blessings, it's kind of expanded into what is Ruh today. So alhamdulillah, now we have Humeyra, who's a psychologist on the team as well. We have psychotherapists on the team. We have advisors from a counseling lens and Islamic lens. Alhamdulillah, team grew, and we partner with several clinicians and therapists and scholars worldwide as well for it.
So you said that you also offer, there's professional psychologists who have a degree in this type of thing that are there to help with a Muslim background, so they're Muslim psychologists.
That's right. Yep. Alhamdulillah.
So how did you how did you get in touch with them, and how did you convince them to come on board? I'll be honest with you, I didn't know there were very many Muslim psychologists out there. So, I mean, was that a challenge that you faced in terms of, finding a number of people that were well versed in psychology as well as Islamic beliefs?
Before I give the mic over to Omar, I just want to say, in your question, as you expressed, that you weren't aware that there were this many Muslim professionals, right, within the mental health field. And that speaks a lot to the gap between the public and the professionals. They are out there, mashallah, but may Allah increase them in numbers and equip them with the tools. But the public, like we don't know how to find them. And so that's why, in every event that we went to, people would ask us, do you connect us with a Muslim therapist or a Muslim mental health professional on the app? And we hadn't. But afterwards, that's how the Ruh Care directory was born, that, hey, we need to really connect, people with the professionals. And it has to be easy to find. They know where to go to. They can search based on their preferences and so many other criteria, their location and so on, and reach those services. But what would you say, Omar, in terms of, was it hard getting, the professionals on board?
Definitely. I mean, like you said, I think the perception definitely is there. But when we started speaking with people, let's talk about the user side, right? Like the community in general. When we, launched a crowdfunding campaign on LaunchGood for the app, we had 33,000 people supporting it. So that kind of like really gave us a strong validation that, okay, people really want to see this happen. And from the therapist side, when we spoke with Muslim therapists, they were very eager to, inshallah, contribute. And as well, like they had, not all of them had wait lists. They had openings as well to take more clients, meaning they had capacity. And it was really a matter of bringing those two together. So now, alhamdulillah, Ruh Care, we have more than 500 therapists on there. It's the largest directory of Muslim therapists in the US and in Canada. We have a lot of people in the UK as well, in other countries. And the goal really was to make it easy to find Muslim therapists that you can connect with. So alhamdulillah, it's ground up designed for the Muslim community, right? So things like Humeyra mentioned, location, language is spoken. If I really want my therapist to be my particular ethnicity, I could find that. My issues that I'm facing with the specialities on that, pricing, and more specifically for the Muslim community, the sect of the therapist as well, right? Like if I'm particularly like following a particular sect, I want someone that is in the same path. I can easily find someone like that as well.
That's amazing. So you're basically the first step up bridging that gap between the public and professional psychologists that also are Muslim. You mentioned about different sects. That was actually one of the questions I was going to ask you. Do you focus a lot on maybe the school of thought of the psychologists, or maybe do they focus on the school of thought that they have? Because I'm sure their advice would reflect their beliefs. Or do you try and keep it very impartial and focus more on the mental health aspect of it, not as much as maybe the different schools of thoughts and the sects within Islam?
When we produce content for the Ruh app, we follow the Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah, right? That path, but we focus on unifying the Ummah and more so unifying the people. And so integrating faith and Quran and Sunnah being our primary resources. So that's the case for producing content on the app. Whereas for Ruh Care, we just provide that platform for all Muslim mental health professionals, no matter their school of thoughts or their sects, but that we ask them to identify how they present themselves, so that people who seek service from them know upfront that, hey, like you said, if their beliefs are impacting their style of practice, they'll know upfront, or at least they'll be reassured that, hey, this professional is following the same sect as I do, and perhaps they might be more comfortable getting in touch with that professional. So we allow that platform for basically having Muslim Islam as the unifying umbrella.
So it's just as though you would ask maybe someone from within your community, or if you went to a mosque for advice, you would know upfront what that person's beliefs were. And it's the same on the app as well, in terms of the psychologist as well. So So, transparency across the board. I mean, that's what I'm understanding here, but you've got the professionals to give that advice as well. I just wanted to ask very quickly before we go on a break, in terms of vetting the psychologists and things like confidentiality, is that just the, I don't want to say, maybe it's not the right word, but the normal sort of rules that everyone's bound by when you would go to see a mainstream counselor anyway?
For confidentiality, for mainstream and for all professionals, the ethical rule would be to, for whatever said within the therapy room stays in the therapy room. So that's the confidentiality, except if there are risks of harm for yourself or for another person. And so that's when the confidentiality breaks, right? As the professional, you need to report to, whoever it would be of help or the authorities and so on. So if we are speaking of that aspect, and yes, that would be applicable all across the board for mental health practice, like in person, clinicians. But in terms of the confidentiality or privacy within the app, in terms of data privacy and so on, perhaps Omar could speak to that a little more.
For sure. And yeah, so for the app itself, we don't actually collect any data. So when you go to when you download the app, you go to permissions, you don't see anything there because we don't actually collect it. All analytics we have as well as fully anonymized. So in fact, actually, one of the reasons we started Ruh, one of the inspirations behind it was when the Muslim Pro thing happened, right? The infamous thing that happened in the Muslim community. We were like, sometimes there are apps being built, sometimes by Muslims, sometimes by even non-Muslims, and they're taking advantage of the Muslim community sometimes. So we were like, we have the skills in our own community. Why don't we put that into action and build products and services for our own community to benefit our community? So that's one of the inspirations how it even started. So alhamdulillah, we're privacy first. We don't collect any data. It's all anonymized as well. On that.
And the good thing about being anonymous on the app is that perhaps there could be some barriers, I guess, in terms of reaching to mental health services, or like stigmas, maybe some certain beliefs that you might be uncomfortable opening up yet. And so that anonymity on the app is like a first step, getting you introduced into at least self-help type of resources where people don't know that you're seeking that sort of help. You don't have to tell anyone and so on. So providing that comfort space in a way, that's also an additional service that the app does for people who might be shying away from seeking mental health support.
Perfect. Thank you so much, both. Guys, we're just going to go on a very quick break. We'll be right back with both Omar and Humeyra to ask them a lot more questions in terms of the app itself after the break.
Are you a problem solver or a good listener? You play defense or take the lead? Are you a multitasker or a people person? Everyone has the one thing they were born to do. Find yours with a career in the Royal Air Force. Gain confidence, belief, and resilience as you achieve things you never thought were possible. Learn new skills, work with cutting-edge technology, and travel the world. Form unique
Amigos.
Ambition. You are given the chance to pursue your personal passions as part of your career. In the RAF, you have the space, be yourself, and have plenty of time to see friends, family, and live your own life. More information on specific role requirements is available on the RAF recruitment website. There is no ordinary job in the RAF. Find your force now by searching RAF.
Looking to get your finances in order? MR Accountants has you covered. We provide a full range of accountancy and taxation services, including annual and management accounts, self-assessment tax returns, VAT, bookkeeping, and payroll services. We ensure you're kept up to date with the latest legislation, and our client-focused approach helps us plan your business finances from savings to investments. We are MR Accountants. Visit our website at mraccountants.com or call us on 0203 432 9138.
Did you know that girls like Noura walk an average of 3 miles every day in search of clean water to support their families? Minhaj Welfare Foundation believes you can end the water crisis by building small and large-scale water projects. Your charity is helping improve the lives of communities living in the poorest regions of the world. However, more needs to be done. Support water for all. Donate today. Call us now 0300 30 30 777 or visit us on minhajwelfare.org.
Nikah, talaq, counseling on matrimonial disputes, Islamic wills, Islamic law of inheritance, or an Islamic verdict on any other issue. The Muslim Sharia Council is at your service. We provide official certification, and our experienced and highly qualified imams are available to provide you with guidance when needed. MQI London is based at 292 to 296 Inglewood Road, Forest Hill. We are open from Monday to Friday, 2 to 4 p.m. Or alternatively, call us now on 0208 257 1786.
When you send money back home with Remitly, you are sending a dream. The dream of new opportunities, paying medical bills, covering school fees, and building a future. Get started with Remitly today. It's the fast, safe, secure way to send money to Pakistan, Bangladesh, and over 100 other countries online during Ramadan. Download the Remitly app and use code SEND5 to get a £5 discount on your first transfer when you send at least £50 from the UK. One per customer. Expires June 30th, 2022. Terms and conditions apply. See remitly.com/SEND5 for details. Authorized and regulated by the Financial Conduct Authority.
A Sadaqah Jariyah unlike any other. This year, Allah has blessed us with the incredible opportunity of illuminating the interior of the Dome of the Rock Masjid, the exact place where the Prophet ﷺ was ascended into the heavens. This new lighting system will illuminate the central areas inside the Dome of the Rock. Gain the reward of praying in Masjid Al-Aqsa and give today. Visit muslimhands.org.uk.
ReviveFM
94.0 on the radio,
on your mobile
and online.
مولاي صل وسلم دائما أبدا على
This is your countdown to Iftar with your host Aroosa Ali on ReviveFM 94.0. Welcome back after the break. So just before the break, I was asking with regards to confidentiality and data protection and things like that on the app. The main reason I was asking was just for our listeners to let them be aware as well that it is a safe space for them to speak to somebody. And it would be the same rules that apply if they went to a mainstream psychologist, with the comfort of knowing that this psychologist through the Ruh App shares the same spiritual beliefs with them. I can see that one of our listeners has a question. So thank you, Ikra, for asking in your question. So they've asked, how does the app work and what are some of the features that you offer?
Sure, I'll take the question, inshallah. Jazakallah khair for the question, amazing question. So yeah, I just realized we didn't actually introduce the app in depth, so this is a good opportunity.
Reviving communities.
Sorry,
The views expressed on this program do not necessarily represent those of ReviveFM or its management.
Awesome.
Glitch. I do apologize about that, Omar.
No,
you were saying?
Yeah, for sure. So basically, the Ruh App, we have different features in it to help you control, reduce anxiety, stress, and also live a more meaningful life, right? So when you go into the app today, we welcome you. We ask you, how are you feeling today? And there's different emotions and states of mind mentioned, listed there. So you can select the one, let's say I'm stressed for the day, right? I select stress, and then there will be a recommended list of contemplation sessions that I could listen to. It's audio-based, so that I can listen to and kind of help relax myself. The good thing here is that the sessions are not podcast style or lecture based. We try to keep them more action oriented, more practical in nature, where we try to integrate different tools and techniques from psychology and also intervention from Islam as well, like dua, dhikr, and so on, kind of merging the two and helping you, guide you through the process of actually doing it. So it's not just telling you what to do, but actually helping you do it yourself during the session. So that's in a nutshell how the app as a format works. But when you go in, there's different sessions. There's contemplation sessions for reducing anxiety, healing with self-compassion, mom burnout, mindful prayers. On the spiritual end as well, we have things to help you be more mindful of Allah. So like mindful prayer, increasing your khushu in salah, contemplating on the names of Allah in Surah Al-Fatiha, and so on. So inshallah, to help you there. And on the spirit, like on the psychology and reducing stress, for example, healing with self-compassion, mom burnout. This one coming out for the wounded healer, for therapists, from anyone that is a caretaker themselves. So there's many sessions like that. We also have breathing exercises. So personally, for example, like anytime I have a big interview like this, or like a big presentation, I use that breathing exercise myself to kind of help relax myself and my nerves. There's also nature soundscapes which you can listen to just as you're working. Just if you want to have something calm, relaxing, playing in the background as you're studying, working, whatever you're doing. And there's a lot more features in the works as well coming up.
Oh, wow, that's very exciting. So I feel like we have been focusing a lot on the psychologist side of it, and the fact that you're a professional psychologist. That is my fault. I got very excited there, because I think that is something that will be very, very helpful for the Muslim Ummah in the West. But so like you're saying, it's something that you can use on a daily basis as well. And you don't have to be a Muslim to use it. It's just that it's more helpful for the Muslim community, but it's something that you can use while on your way to work or in your day-to-day. If you just need a breather, or you just need to listen to something. For instance, people often listen to podcasts nowadays. This is something that will also provide dhikr to listen to, breathing exercises and things like that. I know this is probably a question that some of our listeners might have. Are there any costs involved in terms of the actual app, or maybe some of the features within the app?
So if you're listening to this right now, this is the best time to try out the app. So please do go ahead and download it on the App Store and the Play Store, because right now it's fully free. The app doesn't have any subscriptions. We might launch subscriptions potentially maybe after Ramadan, but right now is the best time. So take advantage of it, benefit from it. Even if when we do launch subscriptions, our goal, of course, one of the values we started with as well, is to make it accessible. So even the subscription will be a very minimal amount, just to keep it sustainable, so we can keep adding more high quality content on the app. And even for people who aren't going to be able to afford it, we actually already have a system in place where we have a sponsor already that said he's willing to sponsor, up to $30,000 worth of users that might not have the financial capacity to actually pay for it. So alhamdulillah, we have systems in place to make sure that no one is left behind when it comes to using the app.
Amazing. That's so beautiful that you've said that, and that you do offer, or people are sponsoring something like this. We have another question from, I think it's the same person. Thank you, Ikra. This one looks like a very interesting one. Are there any age restrictions to the app, or can young teenagers utilize it? Is it for young children as well?
When we develop content, we usually have adults in mind, but especially about 13 and up, or especially 16 and up, I should say, would be able to benefit from the content. Though we do want to be mindful of developmentally appropriate content, so we actually have in our plans to develop content specifically for kids, especially would be for 12 and under. We've received requests from like educators, teachers who might have students that have trouble, for example, in exam anxiety, and they wanted to, have a content that would that they could provide their students to, listen to, so that they could relax, and they would already also, as a teacher, would do certain things to their capacity, but that to have something available for children. So that's one of my passions. I do, from the content, side of things. That's definitely a priority for me. Though right now it's again for mostly have adults in mind, but 16 and up would be able to benefit from it.
So just to clarify, I mean, I feel like the young person, like you said, between 13 to 16 years of age would have a tablet or a phone anyway. So if they were to download the app, there aren't any age restrictions for them, but they can make use of it.
Absolutely. It's just so like a disclaimer in a way that when we develop the content, we're not necessarily aiming for having an age appropriate, but it would especially be of importance when we develop, when we think about very young kids. So like 12 and under, especially, we would need to produce the content or deliver the content so that it's easy for them to understand or it's engaging and so on. So that's not necessarily the case, but of course they can still download and benefit from it. There isn't anything harmful in the app per se.
In terms of the layout of the actual app, I did have a very quick look at it. So you've kept the design very simple as well. So it's no faffing about. The focus really is there on the mental health or breathing exercises or anything like that, just to bring a bit of peace and help you to maybe calm down and relax. So that's, that I wouldn't even have thought of that really. Having a complicated app where you have features, that's not what you're looking for in a moment where, you might be looking for some peace. Just a couple last questions. I saw something about the Ramadan challenge. Is that something you want to tell our listeners about? That sounds exciting.
For sure. So this is actually one of our biggest campaigns that has actually going on right now as well. So the Ramadan challenge, as some of you might already know from Launch Good, is a challenge where you can schedule your donations for the last 10 nights of Ramadan or for the full 30 days of Ramadan. It helps you, inshallah, automate your donations so that you definitely get Laylatul Qadr and you get the ajr for that as well. And you can set a daily amount. So if you want to do $1 is the minimum, you can do $10, $100. I've seen people do like $500 as well. So you can set a daily amount as to your preference. And when you do that using our link, so when you go to, let's say, ruhapp.io, so ruhapp.io/gift, you'll be able to sign up with our link. When you sign up with our link, we get a bonus to our campaign as well, which supports the work we're doing. So your donations are directly going to 10 or 30 different charities. It supports the work we are doing with the bonus we get. And as a gift, we send you a hoodie shipped worldwide for free as well. So it's a really nice, high quality premium hoodie that we ship out to our people that are supporting us.
So you get a nice premium hoodie as an Eid gift at the end of it all. I wanted to quickly ask a little bit about the UK launch. Could you just provide a little bit more detail in terms of that?
For sure. So right now, like the app is already public. It's available. Anyone can download it, benefit from it. I think UK is definitely one of the top 5 countries we see on the analytics side as well. So it's already launched in the UK. What I meant when we talked about the discussion we had for the UK launch was Ruh Care, right? Ruh Care as a directory, we have the largest number of Muslim therapists in the US and in Canada. So alhamdulillah, it's a go-to resource now to find a Muslim therapist that you can connect with. In the UK, it's also already launched. We have a handful of folks. We already see people in the UK reaching out to therapists in the UK as well. But we don't have the most extensive directory. So we might not have, therapists in every different area or every different city and so on. So the idea is that, inshallah, now that Canada is tackled already, the US is tackled, our next focus would be to help serve the Muslim community in the UK. And of course, mashallah, it's a very well-established community there. So the goal is to kind of build that directory, and inshallah, when the time comes, inshallah, we might come back and hopefully share the word and good news with everyone that we will be launching the UK soon, likely this year, inshallah, at some point.
That is amazing. Thank you so much for talking about the app, both of you. We're nearing Iftar. So, I've got a little fun, rapid questions round that I'll ask you both. Just have a little bit of fun before we conclude the show and open our fast. When I ask the question, Omar, if you could answer first, and then in succession, if Humeyra, you could answer as well. It's going to be very quick, so no thinking. I want you to give the answer, the first answer that pops into your head. It's just a little bit of fun for our listeners as well. Texting or calling, Omar?
Calling, absolutely.
Humeyra? Oh, okay. Favorite day of the week?
I would say Friday.
Sunday.
Oh, nice. Okay. Friday, I get that. Sunday, and Mom on Saturday. I don't know.
It's because people are off work. Like I can get together with my family usually to picnics and stuff. So it's a family time for me.
Oh, that's so cute, mashallah. A nickname that your parents used to call you when you were younger?
Well, this is personal. I was Ommu, O-M-M-U, because my name is Omar.
Oh, that's cute. Humeyra?
My parents didn't call me with a nickname, but my sisters did.
Oh, do you want to share one?
And
it's up to you, really.
Yeah, they sometimes call me Humish. but because Humeyra, with something Turkish that you add something ish to the end to make it cute sometimes. So
yeah.
that's where it's coming from.
Oh, trust your siblings to annoy you the most, right? Last nasheed that you listened to?
Was Ramadan by Muaz.
Oh, nice. Humeyra?
For me, technically, the Asma Allah Al Husna by Masud
Oh,
Kurdish.
that's always, that's
Yeah,
so
you
nice.
had it on, yeah.
Would you rather be able to speak every language in the world or talk to animals?
Definitely animals. I mean, I speak with English with many people, so it's good. Animals would be definitely much more cool or interesting to do.
Okay, Dr. Doolittle.
I'd prefer every language.
Every language, yeah. I feel like, yeah. On a scale of 1 to 10, how good of a driver are you?
I want to say 10, but I would say 9. Let's just be more humble.
Okay, I'd say 8.5.
Thank you, Mary, for being honest. At least someone's being honest. No, I'm joking. I'm sure you're a good driver as well, Omar. Sunrises or sunsets?
Sunsets. Definitely the colors and sunsets.
Sunrises.
Sunrises. If you could travel back in time, what period would you go to?
Definitely the period of the Prophet ﷺ, just being in his presence would just be incredible. Sure.
I'm not going to lie, I was actually expecting that. Humeyra?
That's a tough question. There are so many people I want to meet in history, so mashallah. But I do agree with Omar. I do want to be in Prophet Isaiah's presence, like to see his kindness and gentleness in action. It just warms my heart.
Yeah, I mean, that just gave me shivers down my spine. Could you imagine? I think I mean, like I said, I was expecting that from the personality and vibe that I got off both of you. On a scale of 1 to 10, how good are you at keeping secrets?
I'd say 8, 9.
Yeah, the me today would be a 9. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like Humeyra, like, because of psychologist background, you've become trained in it now, in a sense, haven't you?
But it's also kind of like a character thing too, right? The kid me
Yeah,
or the teenage me was not a good, yeah. So don't give me secrets. And at that time, you might have regretted it. But today, alhamdulillah, I've grown out of that. Alhamdulillah.
Wait, just a quick question: are you, in terms of your siblings, are you one of the older ones or a middle child?
I'm number 3. We're four sisters, and I'm number 3. So I was for the longest time the youngest, and 11 years later I had my younger sister. So I was a bit naughty in a way.
Yeah, the reason I ask is because I feel like you can trust the first one to keep secrets.
Mm-hmm.
None of the rest. They will literally snitch. You call it in, I don't know if it's the same word that you use, but they'll go and snitch to your parents and tell them straight away anything that is happening.
Yes, unfortunately.
So I'm going to ask you to say a word in Spanish.
Hello, amigo.
Hola, I think hola, Dora. That thing.
Oh goodness. If Voldemort offered you a hug, would you accept it?
What? Sorry, say that again.
If Voldemort from Harry Potter, if he offered you a hug, would you accept it?
Sure, I might give dawah to him in his ear.
I'd say no.
Recite some Ayatul Kursi and just blow it in his ear.
Exactly.
Okay, a weird one. Is it wrong for a vegetarian to eat animal crackers?
Well, it sounds absolutely wrong. Definitely.
It sounds so wrong. Honestly, that one does not make sense to me at all. I was like, I just have to ask you guys that. Humeyra, any thoughts?
No, it doesn't. I'm not sure. I guess we'll have to ask them. I'm not a vegetarian.
Yeah, that one doesn't make sense to me at all. Thank you so much for answering those questions. Maybe it will it's given me a bit of energy near the end of the day, isn't it? It's been a long day at work as well. I don't know how it's been for you guys.
For us, it's middle of the day yet in Canada and US. Yeah,
at work, I have some clients who are from the US, and I always forget in the afternoon they give us a call and they're like, "Good morning." I just completely forgot that you guys. So, what's the time over there?
It's at 2:18 p.m. In Canada. Well, in the city I'm in.
Canada, okay.
Yeah.
And for me, it's 1:18, so it's 1 hour behind.
Oh, okay. So you've got the whole day ahead of you guys still.
Well, you guys are lucky. You guys have Iftar right now, so Bismillah,
Yeah. The timing difference has affected us a little bit. I mean, I'm sure our listeners could agree. So just to end and conclude, I just want to ask, it's just more for fun. I will be asking this to all our guests on the show. I'm not sure if you've had a chance to look. Do you think in today's day and age, men have it easier than women or not?
Maybe we can do Humeyra first this time.
Oh, smart getaway. I mean, no offense, but I find, such debates like where the question is a bit off, I find it hard to tackle because it would be unfair for both sides to just tackle it from easy, because each gender has their own difficulties, and even within the same gender, each people has their own difficulties. So it's something I would stay away from talking about, and I would acknowledge both sides again that there are difficulties for.
Yeah, I mean, it is a tough one. The only reason I ask is not to put you on the spot or anything. It's just more of, I've noticed a lot of people having this conversation nowadays, and it's interesting to see or hear everybody's point of view.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like anytime anybody gives their point of view, even if it's sometimes a little bit wrong, once you start exploring it, and maybe some of our listeners will start exploring it, you always learn something. You'll learn something. I feel like every time you hear a new perspective, it can begin to change your view on it. Omar, I don't know if you have any thoughts.
Did you freeze somewhere?
I think Omar's free.
Oh, he's back. Okay.
He's back. Slight technical glitch there.
Yep, I think I'm back now. So, well, I didn't get the last part of what you said, but inshallah, I think you just asked me the question. So, honestly, like Humeyra said, it is. I think her answer was very politically correct, by the way. So I'll say something similar. Exactly. So very diplomatic. So I think honestly, both genders have their own challenges, and they have their own strengths as well. So definitely, both genders have, I would say, almost their own playing field. But this is what I'll say. One thing, Sheikh Muhammad Al-Sharif, may Allah have mercy on him, in one of his courses, he mentioned about how the biggest investor that has the biggest return today is a female, and that is Khadija radiallahu anha, right? We sitting here today as Muslims, we are her investment. She invested in Islam herself, like she invested in the Prophet, and everyone that's going to come until the day of judgment is her investment. And I think that's just like an easy way for, I think, females to get ajr as well. Obviously, males have their own work that they do to get ajr, but for females, I think that the aspect of getting ajr is much easier. So that I think just I'll leave that there, inshallah.
Really nice. Yeah, I feel like the balance has certainly tipped in terms of the last century or so. I speak specifically with regard to the Western world. And honestly, from looking at social media a lot the last few years, I feel like maybe we did see young Muslims struggling. I don't know if you both would agree with me, but I feel like since the beginning of this year, I am seeing that begin to change again. I feel like young Muslims are now getting in touch with their deen more again, but not only getting in touch with their deen, but finding that right balance and trying to establish that right balance between the deen and the dunya. Yeah, so I would have to agree with you there. Definitely the scales have tipped slightly, and it is a lot easier for women nowadays. I feel like I've heard a lot of people say, again, because I've heard this discussion a lot, I've heard a lot of people talk about how we need to start cutting men some slack now. I don't know how many of our listeners would agree. I'm sure all the men would agree. I can just see them already. They're always ready to say, yeah, like we do this and we do that. Cut us some slack. But yeah, no, I feel like both genders struggle, and nowadays, especially with the younger Muslims, and maybe social media has helped in terms of providing information and knowledge on the deen, so that we can start bettering our character. And even something as simple as praying namaz. I don't know, like, if you both would agree. I feel like you're close to my age, but I'm starting to notice the younger generation, Gen Z as we call them, really focus on namaz and salah, and focus on it regardless of whether they're out in the mall with friends, or they're at work, or they're at college. They're not scared to shy away to tell their teachers or their employers that, no, I need to go and pray salah, or, you know, start praying on the streets again or in the park. So that's really beautiful to see. Is that something that you could relate to?
I would definitely agree. So my sister, you know, she's much younger than me, so she'd be like a Gen Z category. Though I don't necessarily like that we categorize, you know, that generation per se, or like almost like distance ourselves from them in a way. But I honestly get so much inspired and energized when I see young Muslims, and somehow they're like you said, they are really keen on their deen, on their faith, that they want to practice it. They question certain things. If they feel like their rights are violated, they go after it. If they have a hobby, like my sister has so many hobbies, but mashallah, she goes after them. And I just feel like that part I've neglected a lot for myself, that it was like study for school only, and get good grades and stuff. And I've noticed that, and why I mention that is because that's a way of investing in yourself, right? Outside of school, you're doing something for yourself to develop your character. And that, when you look holistically, that speaks to and that feeds so many parts of you. That feeds your self-development, that feeds your spiritual development, because the more you know yourself, the more you can know a God, and the more you can serve your community and so on. So it's like a chain, linked strongly to with each other, all that aspects of life. And I honestly see that in the young generation, mashallah, and they're coming strongly, alhamdulillah. So I think we need to acknowledge their passion, their enthusiasm, their energy, and that they're seeking the truth and acting for the truth.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Omar, and thank you, Humeyra, for joining us today and talking about your app, the Ruh App. I'm absolutely in awe of your brains and the way you think, and the fact that you've come out with this idea. For all our listeners, you can go and download the app. It's called Ruh App. Please go download it. It's very helpful. We'll end on that note, as it's time for the adhan. Once again, thank you both so much for joining us today for today's countdown to Iftar on ReviveFM 94.0.
Thank you so much for having us.
This Sehri is sponsored by the Wahbe restaurant in Gants. This Iftari is sponsored by the Wahbe restaurant in Gants Hill, Ilford, and Plashet Carpets in Upton Park.
اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا ومولانا محمد النبي الأمي وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. اللهم إني لك صمت وبك آمنت وعليك توكلت وعلى رزقك أفطرت. وصلى الله تعالى على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين.
الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على حي على الفلاح حي على الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله
اللهم صل على سيدنا ومولانا محمد وعلى آله في الأولين اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه في الآخرين اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه في الملأ الأعلى إلى يوم الدين اللهم رب هذه الدعوة التامة والصلاة القائمة آت سيدنا ومولانا محمد الوسيلة والفضيلة والدرجة الرفيعة وابعثه مقاما محمودا الذي وعدته وارزقنا شفاعته يوم القيامة إنك لا تخلف الميعاد.
This iftari is sponsored by the Ruh App restaurant in Gants Hill, Ilford and Plashet Carpets in Upton Park.